And we welcome you to the Superstars Reborn kickoff show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back into the EIF network. We are less than an hour away from a moment that will change the face of Superstardom here in 2016. So much going on tonight. We have 9 matches. That is a pay-per-view high this year without including WrestleMania. That's a pretty big deal. 3 championships on the line and a Hell in a Cell structure that will be waiting. It is hours away from settling down on the ground, but when it does, 2 hungry challengers, one that has never had a shot at the World Championship, will have their opportunity. NBC Master James Arkoffel and the Superstardom champion DZ put it all on the line for all that is good in the name of the undisputed Superstardom Championship. And while that is going on, along with so much more, we've got the Superstardom draft tonight. Again, this is going to be a night you will not soon forget. We welcome you in once more here to the pre-show. As always, your host, EIF owner Carney. Tonight, for the first half hour of our pre-show, we'll be breaking down a little bit about the draft, but we've got 2 guys that you would normally see in the ring. However, they're not going to be tonight. They're going to be a big part of tonight's broadcast, though, because they're the panelists. They're the guys that are going to talk with me, breaking some things down. We welcome in, of course, the man who is trying to, yet again, be the EIF World Champion for another day. Live to fight another day, and that superstar is Ratluck.
Hollywood, baby!
And of course, we're not talking about tonight. We're talking about his title defense next week. We'll get to that in a little bit here. One of the people that Ratluck's going to be going against is a guy we haven't seen as much of this year, but you certainly remember him last year for some stellar stream matches, including one on this very pay-per-view where he defended the streak that nobody ever conquered. He is by many known as the greatest superstar in EIF history, let alone the best in Superstardom history. The God, the King, EIF Brutality.
Hi.
He has a delayed hi. Gotta love that for the dramatics. Anyway, guys, welcome in. And, you know, Superstars Reborn tonight, it's a big deal for a lot of guys. And Superstardom in general was really a big deal for the 2 of you. When you think about it, it kind of launched both of your careers. Brutality, you having a terrific rivalry with Legendary Chaos and Cosmic Hero in 2012. And Ratluck, you got your first WrestleMania spotlight courtesy of your friend and at the time rival Hybrid Maniac, where you guys went the distance and proved to people that 1-hour Iron Man matches are possible in EIF. It's the last time we've seen a one-on-one like that, and it was certainly a memorable one, as was WrestleMania 7 in its entirety. Just talk a little bit about Superstardom, though. You know, kind of trying to hear, I guess, from both of you guys, and Ratluck, I guess we'll start with you in that. You know, what made Superstardom so much more attractive? Because you come into a league like this where you can be creative, you can use those elements of your created wrestler, which obviously you've done more so over the last year or so. But what made you a good fit on Superstardom to start your main event career? Or are you connecting with the party?
Is that Brutality or me first? I didn't hear.
That was you. That was you.
Well, I guess even though I've always liked even though I liked all the creativity that ED Extreme Distortion would bring, I always did like seeing whoever I would end up getting or having in Superstardom, and kind of having to make do with what I had. I mean, I've always had superstars of varying degrees, whether fantastic, amazing superstars like Chris Jericho or The Rock, or lesser known or lesser hyped superstars like Jake Roberts and DDP, who I still had fun with nonetheless. It was all really about taking what I was given, either by random luck of chance or by buying Carney Care Package. Do that now. Basically, it was always just having fun with what the game had to offer and dealing with the hand I was given. I had a preset moveset, preset stuff, and had fun, you know, going against other people with the same limitations.
Real quick before we go to Brutality, just want to let everybody know, putting a little bit of ease on the eyes here for you instead of just looking at a menu screen for minutes on end. We're just playing an offline matchup, no actual implications here. However, this is the matchup you'll be seeing for the Intercontinental Championship later on this evening, as well as it being the arena that we are using for tonight's Superstars Reborn. It has been used for this EIF pay-per-view numerous times in the past. It is the Hell in a Cell arena, and that is, of course, because of our main event featuring a Hell in a Cell, and that's going to be an awesome time. Brutality, we talk about this arena and we talk about Hell in a Cell. 2 years ago, you fought in a Hell in a Cell for your streak against Hybrid Maniac, who has obviously given success to both Ratluck and you in your time, as he's experienced the same from both of you. But going back to what Ratluck said about his superstardom beginning, what clicked for you? I mean, guys that are in the stream era and fans of the EIF network that weren't around back then, you know, years before EIF became a streaming league. You know, talk a little bit about Legendary Chaos and Cosmic Hero and just the chemistry you guys had right around this time of the year 4 summers ago, and how that kind of catapulted you to being a mainstay in Superstardom.
Okay, well, we all three at that point in time were really obsessed with like Superstardom as a whole. We thought it was like, it's a lot more fun just because you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. So in that outlook, it's kind of like it is more skilled than ED, how you know exactly what like each person has and they can't like surprise you. So it's a little bit of studying in that little bit of aspect. But we were all very excited about trying to make Superstardom and each other really, really good, because we all wanted to eventually end up winning the main title. And then so it was kind of unique that I ended up winning the Superstardom title, and previously before that, Chaos was the Superstardom champion about 2 or 3 times before then, and then Cosmic was brand new. It was like right after he won the X Division tournament, won the Extreme title for me. So it was just ended up leading to us 3 in a triple threat at Collision Course, I want to say, and it was really good. Cosmic ended up winning his first ever main event championship, and congrats to him. And then we fought, I believe, 2 more times after that, in which Cosmic actually beat us every single time.
I might be wrong, actually. I want to say it was Victory Votes was the first triple threat, and the only reason why I say that is because I feel like Cosmic, and it might have been for Mid Cartel, but I thought that year Cosmic I remember he used Randy Orton 04 attire, the SummerSlam 04, like orange trunks, and I think I remember him winning a scramble match at Collision Course that year.
You're right, actually, because I won the title at Collision Course, then we fought at Victory Votes, and then like 2 more times after that.
And you know, one of the things also that you guys both kind of shared experience there is you guys talk about, you know, just kind of taking with what you were given and trying to make the most out of it. And clearly, you two both had a desire to be the best and being the best in Superstardom. But talk about how the brand itself kind of became the best. I mean, you guys during the times that you were fighting there, especially you, Brutality, were really trying to get Superstardom recognized, and it felt that you guys were very passionate, not just about your own success, but the success of the brand. I mean, you know, keep in mind, we talk about this Superstars Reborn pay-per-view tonight, which we'll get to a little bit here in our broadcast, but, you know, you look at Superstardom in the past, I mean, when it started, it was a 1 hour third string show in EIF, and it's now became, some people believe, the A brand. Mainly that started in 2015, where people began to notice, and Superstardom took waves as the dominant brand in 15. Ratluck, this question, I guess, would go to you, you know, in seeing that you were, while Brutality was, I guess, sort of part of the reason that ship started sailing in that direction, you were finally there, Rat, when it got to that point, and when Superstardom was the top brand. Do you feel like that was a long time coming, in the fact that it took so many years for it to be recognized as A quality?
Well, I feel like Superstardom, while it started off as more of a kind of a side act, like you said, kind of like, to a lesser extent, like the Divas or the Cruiserweights were back in WWE's heyday, but it suddenly rose to prominence just due to the fact that it was kind of easier to watch and there was less controversy. I mean, where on ED you have, you know, plenty of banned moves, you have people doing things by accident or purpose, whatever you choose to believe, doing, you know, banned things. Superstardom didn't have that, so it was just easier to go along with instead of having to, you know, nitpick for people using banned moves like we've seen this year. And just overall, seeing your favorite superstars fighting each other, like one of my favorites was Jericho Rock, me hybrid at WrestleMania. Just seeing that matchup and just seeing these characters who, you know, were great superstars in WWE in real life wrestling, competing on a virtual stage in EIF, was always just a fun thing to watch. And I feel like even though it started as a kind of a side act, it is right up there even with ED. And
Well,
it deserves very well to be even.
And now, Brew, my question for you would be a little bit more towards where Superstardom now is present day. Tonight's pay-per-view is featuring a lot of guys that are actually competing in things such as their first ever pay-per-view match, their first ever world title match. And so Superstardom, when it started out, especially for the guys that were trying to ascend through the main event, much like you and Ratluck, it was that development kind of territory, not so much as like an NXT, so to speak, but it was really where, you began your career, and it was where you kind of learned the ropes of the main event. And that wasn't as present last year when it took the league by storm as its A brand, but we are seeing a little bit more of that now. It's starting to shift gears. The Superstardom skill may not be exactly where it was, but I mean, me personally, I think the brand is still very successful. Talk about how the brand Brutality, at least through your experiences, where it shifts in terms of, yes, it's, last year it's the A brand. Not to say it isn't anymore, but it's kind of now, going back a little bit into that development territory. I mean, do you think, as far as it goes developing-wise, is Superstardom the right brand to start out on, or is it just a preference thing?
Yeah, I would describe it as much more of a preference, but like my view on like Superstardom as a whole was like it was always looked at as the side as like it is a main event title, but it wasn't like the world title. Like the world title was definitely like a lot more prestigious, and then that's just like how always the outlook was, I would say, until 2015, and then from there, like there was a lot more main eventers wanting to go for the Superstardom title as a whole. The matches were a lot more I don't think competitives are the right word, which I just think they were more entertaining to watch as a whole in 2015. And then from there, it just was like that Superstardom became that A brand due to like matches from like, the Ratluck, Deathlock, Greedy series. Then like it transferred over to like the Me, Deathlock, Greedy series, and then so on to guys with like Frost, Beatdown, Jet, and all them. So I just think it really ended up changing because of like all the superstars wanting to go for that title a lot more than the ED itself. And then I think in 2016, I wouldn't say that like Superstardom has like really dropped off. I really just think that ED has ended up rising back into a lot more popularity. And then so I would just say that actually for the first time that both titles are actually even compared to previous years where we would technically say that they were even, but they really weren't. Like even as in prestige, like the world title was always much more prestigious, and like how last year the Superstardom title was more prestigious. But right now I think if you have one of the main event titles, like you are like one of the two best.
And, going back to what you two have both been talking about over the last several minutes here, one of the things I really like that Ratluck talked about is, you dealt with the hand you were given. That's going to be a big theme tonight because, of course, one of the biggest attractions with Superstars Reborn yearly isn't necessarily what's going on in the ring, but out the ring, because tonight is the Superstardom Draft. People that have been waiting and anticipating new characters and those that are fearing who they're going to get, well, that is going to be found out tonight. Let's break down a little bit of this draft for everybody. Every superstar in EIF will get a character, but let's talk about 16 superstars that have already been predetermined. These will be characters that these superstars will represent following tonight. We have, and by the way, I want to let everybody know, I guess I should mention here, that these superstars that were able to hand-pick their characters were able to do so by being a part of the Carney Care Package Club and some other affiliations. So if you want to know more about that and you're an EIF superstar, make sure you contact me here on Xbox. So with our first overall pick, we had Brutality, the god of Superstardom, had one word to say, and that was yes. Daniel Bryan selected by Brutality. At number 2, Prismatic Nebula, continuing to hold the rights of Randy Orton, and he was not the first superstar, or he was not the only superstar, I should say, that elected to do that for next half. At number 3, Beatdown, at the highest he ever picked, decided to do a little bit of 316 by picking Stone Cold Steve Austin. DZ at number 4, picking the Game Triple H. As I have to join a party, apparently there was a disconnect. But for those that can still hear me, DZ, as I said, number 4, picking Triple H. Not exactly a surprise there. This is a guy that's obviously been the Game Triple H several times in the past. Also, we have Greedy at number 5, picking The Undertaker, another superstar who we have seen pick The Undertaker in the past. We've obviously, again, we've seen that happen. Going to up to number 6, Ratluck. Ratluck with Y2J. Kind of a trending theme here. You see some of the veterans in EIF picking some guys that they've had success with in the past, and Ratluck did have that with Y2J. In fact, that was the character Ratluck represented back at WrestleMania 7. Speaking of the number 7, let's talk about Prof Jag, who picks the Architect Seth Rollins. Tonight, Prof Jag is Sting going up against Pepsi Killer, who is Seth Rollins, and sometimes they say, if you can't beat him, join him, and that's why Prof Jag is going to look to be the Architect Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
Number 8,
I would prefer
NBC
probably
Master.
if this is going to be the entrance.
NBC Master is Brock Lesnar. And number 9, Hybrid Maniac. A 9-time Undisputed Superstar champion, represents a 16-time world champion in the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. At number 10, Pepsi Killer looks to show off tonight with Seth Rollins, but he'll look to show off again with Dolph Ziggler. Aaron is going to look to be a champion in EIF and a People's Champ with The Rock. At number 12, Jetstar will represent Finn Balor. 13, Hostile Exile will represent the Rated R Superstar Edge. 14, Frost, who will be unable to make tonight, will look to make superstars believe that and believe in him, as he will represent Roman Reigns. An Untamed Legend will look to win the U.S. Championship tonight as Billy Gunn, and then hold the U.S. title to be the best U.S. champion in 2016, just as John Cena, his new character, was in 2015. And breaking news, this came just moments ago, moments before going on air. Headshot Killa was the next superstar to fall in line with a Carney Care package in his arsenal, and by doing so, Headshot was able to acquire the rights of Kalisto for next round. He's suffered with Tyler Breeze and somehow found success through 3 reversals. How dangerous will Headshot Killa be to the EIF with 5 reversals? Again, those are the 16 superstars that have thus far been selected. Now, those were the people that were actually able to pick the characters they could represent. The next number of names that will continue for the remainder of the night that will be announced are superstars in EIF that did not get to pick the characters they wanted. And I do apologize to everybody that is listening in now. We are obviously dealing with some technical difficulties. Just before the show had started, there were some party chat issues. That seems to be a recurring theme right now. I've yet again been disconnected from my party, but the draft will go on, as will the show tonight. And once we can figure out the party situation, we will go back and begin announcing our first round our second round. That first round draft picks are people that get to pick for themselves, and those 16 superstars, again, were announced just then. And we will announce our round 2 selections in just a moment here, assuming that we can get back into the party, and we do. All right, so. And also, I should let everybody know that as you were watching here, again, perhaps a preview of what's to come tonight. You can see Cesaro standing tall as the victor. Can Midnight Mayfire do the same with Cesaro? He beat Deathlock in shocking action in the BFG tournament just over a week ago. He looks to beat him tonight for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, let's get to round 2 of the Superstardom Draft here in the second half of 2K16. Coming in at number 17 overall is Big Steph. And Big Steph, who is currently Sin Cara, will be fighting with Sin Cara for the final time tonight. And following tonight, he will represent the Animal, Batista. Coming in next, it is Neil. And of course, Neil, a former U.S. champion, and he's had some bad characters in the past. This one may not be classified as bad, but it is definitely classified as big. Neil is the Big Show. Coming in next, it is Animosity, who on a last-second spot start could be rumored to be on the card tonight. Animosity is Luke Harper now. He will be Tyson Kidd when the next half begins. Ironically, a superstar that was represented by Ant's good friend Frost. Moving on, it's a superstar who will return to pay-per-view action tonight for the first time in 2016. He'll go one-on-one with EBAMS as Sheamus, but following that, Killer Pac will represent JBL. Next, it is Death, a superstar who has been the death of many that have had to watch his matches on the EIF network. He has not been entertaining with whoever he's had, but perhaps that will change as he will represent Big E. Following him, it's Devil Darkshot, a longtime EIF veteran, part-time superstar now in EIF, and a Hall of Famer as well. He will represent, as a legend himself, another legend, as he will be D'Lo Brown.
You're living in a wheelchair now.
And ending round 2, at number 23 overall, it is EBAMS. And EBAMS, who was Sami Zayn, will also represent NXT Superstar for the second half. A former NXT Superstar, one half of the Ascension. EBAMS is Victor. And that ends round 2 of the Superstardom Draft. Round 3 to happen later on in the show. And, you know, characters can make a world of a difference. We already talked about round 1, Brew and Ratluck. We had talked about that. Make sure you guys have included your audio, by the way, if you haven't, because this is like a new party, I think. Anyway, guys, for character difference, DZ and MBC, they're retaining the rights to Brock Lesnar and Triple H respectively. James Arkoffel unable to do that with John Cena, and James still doesn't know who he's going to have beyond tonight, but those 3 are in our main event, and it's, again, we're talking John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, clearly a star-studded match, trapped inside Hell in a Cell. All 3 of those superstars in real life WWE have been in a Hell in a Cell. This is NBC Masters' first ever World Championship match, and James' first scheduled World Title match. He was thrown in by Just Needs in the Airbound World Title match for Superstardom. But this is a big match. This is a long time coming for these two guys. Brew, as a COO of EIF, I mean, you've kind of watched these guys develop. James Arkoffel, you are given a lot of credibility to. This guy started the year with Tyler Breeze. You helped him out, gave him Randy Orton, and that changed James Arkoffel's career pretty much forever. And NBC Master, a guy who was sort of just roaming around in the undercard throughout the few months he was here in 2K15, comes into 2K16 with a different attitude, wins the U.S. title a couple times, and now is in a main event situation, and he looks like a foreseeable threat for the main event in the future. Talk about these guys coming of age or just sort of coming up to where their level is at now, and the challenge they're going to face in not necessarily a skilled, but a very experienced champion in DZ.
And that one's for me, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll start out with their match tonight. DZ might not be the greatest in the skill department, obviously. It's well documented with that, but then again, whenever he makes up with that is with his fucking mind. Oh, my bad. And and DZ's very, very smart in these situations. So I will say that to both James and NBC, I think they really might be underestimating him. So I would really worry about DZ, who I do think will win the match. I would really try to worry about his move thief, which I don't know if both of them realize that Triple H does have. So I would really watch out for that. But now to their careers. NBC taking the route with the United States title is, that's pretty common. And from there, winning it, I think twice he won it, right?
I believe so, yes.
Do you know that, Carney? Okay. So with him winning it twice, with all right reigns with him, maybe about a month for him, him going to the main event, that's not too much of a surprise, and especially his performance at WrestleMania against Deathlock also really goes to his case. So I'm not really surprised with him. But James, on the other hand, it's a little bit more of a shock just because he was brought in through a guy like Death, and then obviously with Death, he didn't really have that much in his career, so maybe you would expect that same way with James. But James ended up beating Wicked Jr. in, I'm trying to think, maybe October-ish, and ending Wicked's 3-month reign with the X Division Championship, which I think a lot of people forget about. And then from there, holding it on for about another month with it. And then I don't think James has won another title since then, but racked up some pretty big wins against guys like Tripod and Greedy. So I think he's a little bit of more of a shock than NBC is at getting a main event title. But I think they both definitely deserve it, and the best of luck to both of them.
All right, let's talk a little bit with Rat Luck. And Rat, I know you don't want to talk about it. It's the elephant in the room, but you know you obviously have some experience with DZ. Maybe not as much. Let's not necessarily talk about the BFG match. Let's just talk about your rivalry with DZ that brewed in parts of a couple of years here. Obviously, you know him very well. I would say probably a little bit more so on ED, but you know the kind of superstar he is. As does the person that apparently is unzipping and zipping a Ziploc bag in the background. We really appreciate the extra filler noise. But, Rat, what would you say is the key for guys that are newer to the main event like NBC and James with a veteran DZ, especially because you can bring them in some very helpful advice right now. You've been in the ring with DZ so many times. What does NBC and James need to mainly look out for here in Hell in a Cell?
They need to not underestimate DZ, but they also don't need to worry too much about him. The one thing that really gets people with DZ is that people say DZ is great at kicking out, or DZ is very smart at the game, or DZ is whatever. And in some cases, like when Hybrid and DZ fought in the BFG 2 years ago, they were right. Hybrid was kicking his butt, but he was kicking out so much that people actually thought he had a chance of pulling an upset. 6 finishers that he kicked out of in that game. However, there's also been times, like if I believe it was this last year, a few world title matches, that he just really underperformed in and really didn't do as well as people thought he would. So you just have to treat him like a normal competitor. You don't want to treat him like he's a Brutality. You don't want to treat him like he's a Hybrid or a Rat Luck. But you don't want to treat him like he's Reptoid or an EBAMS, sure.
Oh, poor
You
Ebams.
just want to think of him as another competitor that you have to keep an eye on, but just play the way you normally would. Or play in a way that's appropriate to the match type, in this case, a triple threat.
All right, well, you know, that's obviously some stuff that hopefully NBC and James will be listening into. They are hours away from being able to compete in the main event. We are moments away from starting out our show with a kickoff match. Let's talk about it as we're getting set. 2 of the newer superstars in EIF, Headshot Killa, along with his opponent Nexus Genesis, are trying to start turning a corner here and beginning a true journey that could lead to the main event, such as those 3 superstars we just talked about that are going to be coming up later on tonight. Tonight, they get their first dose of what it's like to be on the EIF network, so we're hoping you'll welcome them in. Their debut on the network and their pay-per-view debut on the pre-show, Adam Rose versus Tyler Breeze, a fairly even matchup that goes back a couple or just over a week ago, where Nexus Genesis dropping a one-on-one to Headshot Killa, who's been very successful in one-on-ones. Nexus looking to even the score, as well, of course, if you guys have been faithful watchers of the EIF network, you'll know that over the last few pre-shows, we've had Hybrid Maniac doing some commentary for us. So Hybrid will be welcomed back to the broadcast booth. The match is up, gentlemen. Please go ahead and join us. Hybrid will be spectating with me. Headshot and Nexus Genesis will be joining. And guys, Hybrid and I are going to be getting eliminated at the start of this because, of course, if you're, an EIF network frequent viewer, you obviously know why, but for those of you that are not, we are doing this because Hybrid and I are not competing. We are only selecting this just in the hopes that Headshot and Nexus, after Hybrid and I get manually disqualified, will have a better view of the match, better camera angles, and will not have to deal with any issues. Hybrid, let's just do a little mic check. Are you with us here on the audio?
Check. 1, 2.
I can hear you. I hope the fans in the EIF Twitchiverse, yes, I know that was generic, can hear you too.
Sweet.
Let's test if your controller's working, Hybrid. There you go. And again, Hybrid will be doing some play-by-play commentary here for these 2 newer superstars. And following this match, we will announce the 3rd round of the Superstardom Draft. So as Hybrid and I will get ready to be counted out, Hybrid will do the ringing of the bell, Folks, I will be back. In the meantime, enjoy this matchup. Hybrid Maniac commentary on the pre-show again. Nexus Genesis and Headshot Killa. And with that, we turn it over to our commentator of this match.
All right, Carney, get in the ring. As we set up for this special pre-show match between Nexus Genesis and Headshot Killa. Headshot representing Tyler Breeze and Nexus Genesis representing newly arrestee Adam Rose.
Actually, Hybrid, I just forgot. I'm supposed to do in-ring introductions.
Yes, you were. He threw me off guard.
Anyway,
Curveball.
all right. So the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first in the top left corner from New York, representing Adam Rose, he is Nexus Genesis. And his opponent standing across the ring from him, from Alabama, representing Tyler Breeze, Headshot Killa. All right, Hybrid, take it from here.
Okay, Headshot, are you ready? Nexus Genesis, are you ready? Ding, ding, ding. Let's start this match. And a nice running forearm by Adam Rose, catching Tyler Breeze off guard. And by that I mean the characters, obviously. And there's grabbing air. And Headshot Killa with a nice Hurricane Rana, putting Nexus Genesis down flat on his back. Just stalking him as he's crawling around. Big reversal by Nexus Genesis. Hitting his back like the... I'm a bit sick on this broadcast tonight. I apologize. Stomping on the chesticles of Headshot Killa. Big reversal and a throat chop. Right in that gorgeous throat of Headshot Killa. A big Russian leg sweep by Nexus Genesis as he keeps stomping on those chesticles. But Headshot Killa with a big reversal. Jawbreaker. And he missed. The game screwed him over, but a good dropkick. Dragon whip by Nexus Genesis. It's picking up Headshot Killa and another jawbreaker, using that gorgeous head. And another Hurricane Rana. Goes around, comes around, he stomps in his chesticles and picks him up. And a punch in the face. Punch in the face. Only Headshot Killa can be beautiful here. And speaking of beautiful, right to the is that like the groin? I don't know, but now he's choking him, choking the life out of Nexus Genesis. And both competitors out of reversals. As Headshot Killa looks to take advantage. Puts him on the ropes. Oh, hits him in the back. What does he plan on doing here? Strong style knees! Oh, shout outs to Shinsuke! Man. And woo! I don't know if he actually has that move. But hopefully people in the truck can figure that out. Anyway, Headshot Killa continuing to beat down Nexus Genesis. Picks him up, more punches to the face. His face getting bruised by all that punishment.
Ooh,
and now so is his genitals. Flips over Nexus Genesis and chokes him again. It's a repeat strategy, but it seems to be working. Both out reversals. The Headshot Killa always seems to get advantage. Wait, come back! And he said
choking
he doesn't care
him
about super kicks. And this is
Get him,
why
Headshot.
grapple comebacks are banned on ED, but he got reversed. Nexus Genesis having a hard time. Kick in the stomach, but doesn't matter. Adam Rose comeback is amazing. More forearms, reversals, and a spine buster.
Ooh, what the
He
hell
does
was
have
that?
that Shinsuke kick. And then
Get
Nexus
him.
Genesis leaves the ring.
Ooh, spine buster. God damn.
Nexus
hurt
Genesis
as hell.
walking around the ring.
Get him, get him, get him. Oh, he making him retaliate.
Going into the ring. Reversal by Headshot Killa. Headshot Killa looking to have most of the offense in this match. Nexus Genesis needs some sort of second win, but I don't know if that second win's coming. Though he might get a little bruise. Reversal by Headshot Killer. As he goes for another Hurricane Rana. Patented leg strength right there. All in those legs. So strong to beauty shot. Speaking of strong legs, beauty shot. Goes to the pin. 1, 2, and off one finisher. Headshot Killer with a beauty shot. Stamping another W on his record.
Headshot with the beauty shot. It'll be the last time we see it from him, but it was worth the wait, or worth the while, I guess you could say in this case, as Headshot picking up the victory to stay 2-0 over Nexus and get his first pay-per-view win, making quick work of Genesis. Had a little bit of signs of life there, Harbor, but ultimately Genesis unable to pull through fully. And again, both those guys, we know Headshot Killer guarantee a new character with Kalisto. It's unclear as to whether Genesis will get the same character or a new one. Again, it's highly I would say highly unlikely that he would end up with the same character, but either way, we're going to go ahead and go with the third round of this year's Superstardom Draft. Again, we'll be doing more draft names. If you did not hear your name yet, or if you didn't hear some of the people you were waiting to hear, don't worry, don't fret. Stay with us, because once 8 o'clock hits and we go live for our main pay-per-view portion of tonight's broadcast, you will then see more names being called. But again, Headshot Killer, congratulations with a victory over Nexus Genesis here on the pre-show. Let's get to round 3, starting out with number 24, a superstar we have not seen in a very long time, but I have been contacted by him less than 2 weeks ago. He said he's ready to return. KSI Kutch. Kutch was the big show last year when he was in EIF, and for a little bit it looked like he had something going for him. He's going to hope to catch that second wind, as Hybrid referred to with Genesis. He's going to be looking to do the same thing for this year in terms of getting back on track, and instead of being Big Show, he is going to be Titus O'Neil. Then following him, it's Narc Relapse, also known as Beatdown 2 through 6, one of those. I don't know which one, but either way, I think he's one of them. Narc Relapse was Dolph Ziggler. He isn't going to be him again, but it looks like he's getting another pretty decent character from what I hear in the EIF rumor mill. This guy's pretty decent. Narc Relapse nags William Regal. Following that, it's Icon of MES, a good veteran here. Of course, had one of the best matches we've seen all year long for the X Division Championship at WrestleMania 9. And now he will, obviously he is an Icon, but now he will represent the Icon as he is Sting. Following that, it's another superstar who is yet to make a debut we're kind of interested in. He's the younger brother of NBC Master. Does he have a cool name? No. NBC Master B. Master B, the little man, is going to be a lunatic fringe. He gets Dean Ambrose in his first ever Superstardom Draft. Following that, it is Braden. Braden, the second generation superstar from one brother to another. The little brother of guess who? Me. Braden had some bad news last time, was he was representing Barrett, and I think this is even worse news as he's now Jey Uso. And our last superstar for the third round, another newcomer, and it goes by the name of Freddy Boy. His first name on his gamertag is Goku. Shout out to Dragon Ball Z, I love it. And Freddy Boy is somehow unlucky enough, unless he considers otherwise, he is unlucky enough that he is going to represent Goldust again. So Freddy Boy will now have Goldust for the entire duration of WWE 2K16 unless he can work out a trade. And that is the third round of tonight's Superstardom Draft. We still have, I believe, 2 or 3 rounds. I want to say 2 rounds left to go. And again, those will be coming up here in just a little bit. Brew and Ratluck, if you guys are still here, do you have your audio included, or can you re-include your audio?
Yes, we do.
All right, perfect. Well, Ratlick does. Okay, Brew does. All right, so guys, obviously we're not going to be able to talk about every match here. Let's talk though about our big three tonight. We already talked a little bit about the world title match, so we'll get your predictions in a little. But let's talk U.S. title. Jumper Magnum and Untamed Legend. Jumper is approaching a 2-month reign, and it's a credible one. I mean, he's beaten some guys. Obviously, bulk of the matches are one-on-ones. He won a fatal four-way the other week to retain the title. But what's even more impressive is he's done it all with Baron Corbin, who has just 3 reversals. Tonight he fights Untamed Legend one-on-one. Untamed, a multi-time X Division champion, looking to win his first title outside of that with Billy Gunn. It's a 4-3 reversal advantage for Untamed, but Jumpers overcame the odds before. Ratluck, do you think he's going to do it again?
I think Jumper's got this match hands down. He's impressed me so much with doing as much as he has done with Baron Corbin, who I never considered to be that great. And Jumper's just an example of, hey, you don't need 4 or 5 reversals to win this game. You just have to outplay your opponent, and in my opinion, Untamed's not the smartest with managing his reversals, so I think Jumper has this 1 or 2-0 finisher count.
All right, Brutality. Untamed Legend is going to be acquiring John Cena following tonight. That's clearly a huge bolster, but is that going to give him enough motivation to win tonight? Ratluck doesn't think so. What are your thoughts?
I agree with what Ratlick said on most things that he said. The only thing I'll disagree with is the finisher count. I don't think it'll be that. I think it will probably be that Untamed keeps kicking out. So I'll say maybe like 5-1 in favor of Jumper, and then he finally wins. But I don't think he'll get pinned off 2.
So you would also have Jumper retaining tonight?
Yep.
All right. Let's move on then to our another championship match tonight, and we saw a little bit of a preview of it if you were watching since the beginning of this show, and that is the Intercontinental Championship matchup. It's going to feature Cesaro being represented by Midnight Mayfire, along with his opponent Deathlock representing The Rock. This kind of sounds like David vs. Goliath on paper, and these two fought each other in the Battle for Glory All-Stars tournament. Now they get to face each other in Superstardom. Some people think Midnight got lucky in the BFG. Ratluck, you've known as well as anybody does that luck can happen in the BFG. Do you think it'll happen again for Midnight, or is it a case of this is not luck? Is Midnight the better superstar?
Well, I mean, having all the experience I've had with Deathlock, from those great Superstardom triple threats to the finals in the BFG last year, I know how good Deathlock is. However, I think Midnight might have his number. I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Midnight to win this by a pretty even finisher count, maybe a 3-2 finisher count.
All right. Brutality, obviously, you know a lot more about Deathlock. 1 year ago, you two were fighting in the main event of Superstars Reborn. Now he is the Intercontinental Champion. Will he still be the Intercontinental Champion by the end of the night?
Yeah, I think Deathlock will win. I'll go with, because Deathlock's probably the favorite to win. I'll go with him. I think he'll get the run back on Midnight since he lost in the BFG. I think he'll win with the Intercontinental title. And finisher count, I won't say it's as close as Ratluck. I'll go maybe like 6-3, and the reason because of this is Midnight has a rocky start with his reversals, and Deathlock will capitalize.
All right, so let's talk one last time here before we head off the pre-show and take a quick break before our main attraction. Talk about that world title match. We've already discussed it in depth. Now let's just go down to the bold predictions. Brew, I know you had talked a little bit about you thinking DZ is going to retain. One more time, just tell us, again, are you sticking with that decision you said earlier, and why and how does DZ walk out tonight just as he walked in with the title?
I think DZ will still win, and I think DZ will win still because of Move Thief, and I think he's going to tap out James with the STF, and they won't realize that he has Move Thief.
All right, so very specific prediction from Brutality. Remember, DZ does have Move Thief. He'll be using Triple H 01, just as Deathlock's using the Retro Rock 03 tonight. Ratluck, opportunity for you to say your piece. You are clearly not the best of friends with DZ. Do you share the same predictions with Brutality, or do you have a different ending to tonight's event?
Well, now, DZ might be the most experienced in the match. He might be the
He might be the guy that got Ratluck to exit out of the party. We don't know. I can't hear Ratluck's voice anymore. All right, we will be, of course, making another party here in just a little bit. Not sure if we're going to be able to hear from Ratluck or not. Of course, we will be taking a break before the main attraction occurs. Ratluck leaving the party, I assume, to rejoin, so it looks like we'll probably end up hearing from him as Ratluck is requesting an invite. Hopefully someone can accommodate him. You guys can see I'm highlighted under that Finn Balor Hell in a Cell square in the bottom right corner of your screen. That is the main event tonight. Those three superstars competing in the unforgiving structure that is Hell in a Cell on the Hell in a Cell arena, which will be the arena used throughout tonight's pay-per-view. Ratluck, you're back here. Sorry about that. You were telling us how DZ has the most experience in the match, and while he has that, you were going to say?
Yeah, he might be the defending champion. He might have more knowledge than the other two of the game due to just playing with experienced people like Hybrid Maniac, Brutality, Hostile Exile, and myself. But despite all of that, DZ is not going to win the match tonight. I'm picking NBC Master tapping out James Arkoffel at some point with the Kimura.
Oh man, so NBC predicted to win his first World Championship in his very first opportunity. Beatdown did that last September. Will NBC follow in that trend? Well, it looks like that's going to be all the time we have here tonight on our pre-show, guys. Do not go away for long because when we come back, it is at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you guys are in the Eastern Time Zone, that's just a little above 10 minutes from now. When we come back, we are kicking the show off with a second round match. It's exclusive. It's the only one that's happening tonight, as many people are having their final match of their first round characters. We will see two superstars getting to use their second round characters, as Tyron Hunt will go one-on-one, mano-a-mano with Wicked Jr. The exciting part, neither of them have any idea of the character they are going to have. It's going to be exciting. So will the rest of the draft. So will the rest of the night. We still have 8 more matches for you, 3 of them for championships. Superstars Reborn is a matter of minutes away, guys. Do not go away. Thank you for tuning in on the pre-show. We'll see you at the top of the hour when we go live on pay-per-view.